Okay, folks, great to see everyone here again tonight and back for our toy collector chat. And again, we're going to welcome Doug Devine here to share his story, part 2 actually, of 1/32 scale farm toys. So we had a great show the last time, and I think it's even going to be better this time from what I heard from Doug. So Doug, we'll turn things over to you and we'll enjoy your presentation.
Okay. So I will get this up here. Just give me a second. Okay, so part 2 here. Last time we started with basically a little bit of the history. So we looked at Britain's Ertl, Siku, as well as Universal Hobby. So now we're going to go into kind of everyone else that's out there have a smaller palette of manufacturers they do, but they do a lot of different manufacturers too. So we're going to start with Ertl because Ertl was kind of, actually, I guess I should go through the ones we're going to look at. So we'll look at Viking tonight, Margay, Siku, Wise, USK, Shuco, Britain's, Diecast Promotion, Ertl, and Replicargi. So as I said, Ertl and Britain's, Ertl purchased Britain's in 1989. So a lot of the models after that time were actually share somewhere when they were sold in Europe, they're sold on the Britain's banner, North America under the Ertl banner. So a lot of the tractors were the same, just depending which box they came in, depending where they were sold. Start with John Deere. Now this was actually a little pre-2000 that Ertl introduced the Precision Series in 32nd scale. Unfortunately, it didn't last very long, but the first model they released was the 8400. You can see in the top corner there. And then the next one was a 9420. These were right on par with the high detail manufacturers in Europe. Unfortunately, they were short-lived. The second one in that series, they brought out an 8530. This time they did it in a European version, I guess, to market that European market who was interested in these. And then they brought out an 8430 US spec with the row crop duals. Next kind of series they came out with was called their Prestige series, which we're seeing now. They've eliminated the Authentic series and 64th. Everything of their higher detail seems to be called their Prestige series. So here's a couple of the earlier ones, the John Deere Waterloo Boy in the Model D made for the Collectors Museum. Little higher horsepower row crop tractors, the 7930 and the 7230R. The 7290R and the 8295R, they're getting in the 8 series tractors. The 8360R, followed up by an 8370R. They did a couple tracked versions. You'll see the 8295 RT and the 8360 RT. This was one that was probably a really anticipated one last year, the 8R4X. This is the US spec. So this is marketed under Ertl. So you'll notice I've got a couple pictures here. The one on the right side of the screen, you'll see the rear hitch. And you'll also notice this is at 120-inch wheel row crop spacing with 12-inch belts. This was what the US market got. Under track, I believe they were an 18-inch belt on a 96-inch, I think, centers. They also got a front 3-point hitch and more traditional European 3-point hitch. Interesting thing about this tractor, and one thing I really like about 32nd is the release dates. The real tractor was released to the public in November. It was more of a virtual launch when they launched this tractor. And 2 weeks later, these were available at Agritechnica. The US one came out in May the next year. Neat series that John Deere did, really nice detailed, was the Plow City Toy Show tractors. Here you see an 8010, and it came with the mounted plow as well. Next few in that series, there was the 8850, the 8650 up in the top corner here. This was the National Farm Show tractor. Again, unfortunately, that line was short-lived with the high horsepower four-wheel drives, as they've went back to a 16th now, but brought us a lot of nice 32nd models out. The John Deere, another Plow City, is the 8760, and the Prestige version of the 9630. The 9560R down on the bottom here, and the 9370R narrow frame. That was a farm show edition. And they did a high horsepower Geotrack system with the 9630T and the 9620RX 4-track. Next, we see some couple national farm show tractors that were brought out. One was the 4890. Again, this is that series that they brought out. Some nice detailed 30 seconds. So the 4890 and the 4766. Interesting enough, both of these tractors this year being reissued under different looks. The 4890 is coming out in the Case IH colors. It's a Britain's release. And the 4766 is coming out as a black stripe version for the National Farm Toy Museum later this year. 2+2s, one of my favorite tractors as a youngster. I was very excited to see when this came out in 30 seconds. The 3788 on the bottom was the National Show Tractor version, and the 3588 up top with a little bit wider tires was the National Farm Toy Museum edition. Case IH got one precision version. It was the Case IH STX 450. This was a great model. Again, unfortunately, this line was short-lived for Myrtle. A few of their more modern tractors, the Maxim 150 and the Puma 180. And a lot of these models, like I said, were marketed under Britain's in Europe and Ertl in North America. A little more traditional Magnum, the 7130 and the 305. Couple special paint job versions, the Stars and Stripes. This was neat. If you got to see one of these at one of the U.S. farm shows this year, they had a Spirit of 76 Edgar King sitting beside us. It's kind of sharp, and the 370 Silver 25th Anniversary on the other side. The 380 Magnum on the top left, and on the bottom, that is the new Afx Connect 380. That was the upgrade for 2020. It's got the new grill, and finally went to a 4-post ROP compared to a 5-post cap. And the road track version of the same tractor. So we see the traditional 380 on the left and the Afx Connect 380 on the right. A couple narrow body Steigers, the Steiger 450 on wheels and the 350 road track. The 600 quad track and the 20th anniversary 620. Couple Steigers, again, National Farm Show tractors, the Panther Km 325 and the KP 525. New Holland, again, a lot of these tractors were marketed under the Britain's brand as well. The T7050 up in the top, the TG275 on the bottom. The T8 360 and the T8 420. The T8 435. On the bottom here is the New Holland 982. I couldn't find it, but I've also got one he's done in the versatile colors, or the Bueller colors, I guess it would have been. That was the transition tractor. A couple Steigers from New Holland, the T9 450 and the T9 670. Versatile, 935. This was the National Show Tractor version. Got some of the versatiles in the early Bueller colors. So you get the 310 row crop tractor in the top and the 550 in the bottom. Here we get to see the newer colors. The one on the left, the 550, this was the 50th anniversary. This is the first tractor that Versatile brought back in their traditional red, white, and red, yellow, and black colors. They did 50 of these real tractors. I've seen one of them. I know one of them was sold out of Hyde Burrows up in Hensel. And it was such a popular color scheme, they actually brought it out the next year to be their permanent colors, which is the 610 here. And this is the way they're delivered now from the dealers. A couple AGCO products, AC 440 and the white 4210. The 4210 was a National Show Tractor. We also did some Big Bud products for us. 370s, one in the black and one in the Burfus blue. Brings us to Siku. Siku, as I said, in about 2000, everyone kind of went to more of a high detailed version toy or scale model. Siku more went on that toy line. As you'll see here, a couple of the early Sikus I did get just because they're tractors that weren't available yet. The Deutz 710 and the Fendt 936. These are more of a toy-based product, so they're durable enough to be played with. So the detail wasn't quite there. Here you can see some more detailed versions Siku did. These were done for the LCN show in Netherlands. So you see the 8650 on the bottom and the New Holland T8 300. See the details they added, just the antennas, the beacons. So brought their detail up a little bit more, so they weren't as toy-like. So a couple of them have been added to my collection. So here we're looking at, as I said, Siku is actually owns Viking. Viking was known for 187th vehicles, but in 2007 they got into the high detail 32nd markets. And their first line of tractors were Fendt, which was actually the 936, but we're looking at the 8 series here. So the top here, you'll see the 828. This was the Gen 3 version. Again, a Fendt design line in the fur green. This was an option to order these in a darker green with the silver grills and chrome stack, as well as the white version on the bottom. Here are the Gen 4. So this came out a few years later. They upgraded just the hood and stuff to make the emission standards to the new exhaust systems. You'll see the 828 Gen 4 and the 828 Gen 5 just in the full black. That's not a design line, so you don't get the chrome grills and stack, but it gives it a black stealth look. Here's the 936. So this was their first model they released. On the left, right, you can see some of the detail they offered, such as opening hoods, doors, rear windows, working front and rear 3-point hitch. A couple variations of that. You'll see the 939 down here in the bottom with the duals all the way around, and the black beauty version they called when they launched this real tractor. It was done in this black and silver for Agritechnica, and that black has been a staple of their line since. A few more versions. This is the 939. The upgrade from the 936, 939 was really the only difference was the exhaust and the AdBlue tank on the right to meet emission standards, and another black beauty on the bottom of the 939. Here's the standard 939 on the left. On the right, you'll see the Gen 5 version. Again, upgraded hood, bigger venting in the front here. Just some different cosmetics looks, just more to match the new emission standards. This is the 936, or 942, sorry, Gen 6. So these are just the newest version that came out. On the right-hand side, you'll see the Euro version. And for the first time, Viking released a North American version spec of this tractor. I was very excited to see this. The neat thing about Fendt is that most of their tractors are marketed for Europe. The goal of this 942 was to really heavy presence in the US. So they did this row crop dual version model. The strange thing to me is I've seen probably 15 or 20 942s, and I have yet to see a row crop version in Ontario. Everything's been on the metric tires still. This is its big brother, the 1000 series. You can see the similar styling between the two models. So the 1050 on the bottom with the singles and the duals all the way around. And when the 1050 launched into North America, the Fendt dealer network wasn't really strong enough. They figured to get a full coverage of that tractor in North America, so they actually marketed it under Challenger. As you can see here, there's a 1042 and a 1050. The other interesting thing about this, when they did the prototype testing of these tractors in California, to not let anyone know it was a Fendt, they were actually painted in the Challenger colors. So the first ones in North America were actually yellow. From different forage harvesters Fendt's made, or Viking's made for Fendt, the Katana 85 on the top and the 65 on the bottom. So here you're looking at a couple of the clauses they've produced. That was the second tractor brand they got into. The interesting thing about their newer versions, as you can see here, you'll see a set of tires beside the other one. is an option with this model was to have changeable tires. So the caps pop off here, and this one came with a standard, like a metric tire and a row crop tire. You could put either or on it. On the other side, you'll see the clause Zaryan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was a tractor when they marketed the real tractor at Agritechnica. It was done in this paint scheme. A couple clause Zaryan 640s, one with a loader, one without. The Axion 850 on the top. This was the very first Viking model clause did. On the bottom, you'll see the 950. This tractor has been just recently introduced in the North American market due to the fact they are switching from Deere power systems to Fiat powertrain engines. So they are now allowed to market these in North America. On the top right, you'll see the Geotrack version of this tractor. I have not seen one of these in real yet. I would think this year they should start seeing them in North America. And on the bottom, the Zaryan 5000s. This is more of the Zaryans that we're traditionally used to seeing in North America. We have a black version. This was done for a show in Europe. And on the top right, you can just see some of the detail that Viking offers by the underhood shot here. You can see all the cooler lines and just do outstanding models. Here we have the couple combines, or a combine they did, the 780, done in the North American colors. In Europe, these have been done in the traditional white and green, but in North America, they're marketed in the yellow and black. And the Claus Jaguar 880 Ford harvester. Okay, here we can got some John Deere was in their market share. The 6125R on the top left here, and the 6930 Premium on the right here. The one on the right with duals, that was done for the SEMA show. The one on the, or sorry, that was the left. It's the standard version. Again, they did some Ford harvester, the 8500i, both with a pickup head and a maze head. And as well as you can see the John Deere 6210R with a 990 round baler. Valtra's another one in their lineup. You can see the T234 here in white and the T214 in blue. The T194 in the red with a loader. The T234 here, see it's in a champagne color and the brown interior. This is what they call their unlimited version. Valtra has a thing you can actually almost have a tractor painted and spec'd out any way you want. This one was to represent a full leather interior in the champagne gold. Couple more Valtras, the N143s, both came in red as well as green, and a gray version with a loader. I was excited to see this model last year launched, the JCB. They finally brought out a nice detailed model. The 8330, you can see the standard color here, and this year, or 2020, was the 75th anniversary of JCB, and they did one up in this Terra color, they called it. But they brought some more modern machines versions. So the 6185 TTV, you'll see the newer style hood, the Warrior version of it on the right, and this or the Lamborghini Spark on the bottom, all with the new style hood. MB Track, they do a lot of these versions. Again, these were imported into Canada in the late 80s. I haven't seen any around for years. I'm not sure if there's any still around, but I do remember seeing these at the plow matches as a kid. So I think it's kind of neat that there's models out. The early versions were the red and gray paint scheme. The later ones come in the green and green. A little bigger model 1100 here on the right, and the 1100 on row crop tires. And this is they called their Silver Sister green. So it's more of a metallic green, a little darker tinge to it. A 1300 on high flotation tires, and the 1500 version, and a 1600 version on the top left. On the bottom, on the right here, you'll see a Shulter Supertrak 2000. This is a German tractor. These were extremely high horsepower in the European market. A lot of these are still running, and a lot of them have been powered to monitor. They're just such a durable tractor that they've been able to update them, and there's still a lot of these running in Germany. Here we can see the newest version of the Claas Zaryan. The 4000 on the left here is a standard version. You can see with the weights on the back, on the front. That tractor has a movable cab, so you can see it underneath, put in the cab driving the other way. And on the right side, this is a Zaryan 4000 saddle track. So this one has a fixed cab on the front. These would normally be fitted with like a fifth wheel style trailer. The first Zaryan I ever seen in Ontario was actually one of the saddle tracks. Market models, probably my favorite manufacturer in 32nd. Aerial implements. The first tractor they brought out was a Ford 76 series. You can see on the left here, all kinds of neat features. On the right, you'll see a country version they did of this at the TW's frame. Again, amazing detail. Their newer versions, they got into doing some Case IH products. So on the left, you'll see the Case IH Optum 300. And on the left, you'll see another Optum 300 done in a darker red. This was done for a farm show in Europe. This looked quite sharp. Here we can see the Magnum tractor they've done, the 380 in the top left. And on the right, you'll see the new 380 Afx Connect Magnum. The difference being the hood. You'll see the new hood on the Case IH Magnums. And again, they've lost the pillar on the right side of the cab. So it's a 4-post cab now compared to the 5-post before. The T7, this is the common platform from New Holland to the Optimum. You can see the standard blue on the right, or on the left, sorry. On the right, you'll see the Versted version. This was a tire brand that was launched in Europe, and they did some special versions with a wider tire on them. You can see that one there. Here you'll get to see the same tractors and the same tire configurations in the blue power paint scheme. The T8 is the larger. This is the sibling to the Magnum. They come off the same production line. So you'll see the blue, standard blue, and the blue power version. Again, you'll see a red Stred tire version on the top left. And on the bottom right, you'll see a T7 done in terracotta. A lot of farmers in Europe still do want to have a Fiat looking tractor, so a lot of them are repainting their New Holland tractors to this terracotta color. So you can see a T7 here. Next screen, we'll see the T8s done that way. So the standard T8 and the T8 with the Versted tires on it. And the last version of these, we'll see the Rotrack version on the bottom left. And on the top right, you'll see the new PLM. This is the brand new New Holland 2020 version. Again, like the Magnum to the 4-post cab. And the cab roof's different, and the new graphics at New Holland's. Unfortunately, it's hard to see in this model, but it has a new graphic compared to what they've been normally using. Steyr, this is a common platform Steyr, as I said before, was purchased by Case IH in 1996. And here you can see their flagship tractor, the Teres 6300. The one on the left is the standard version. The one on the right is a 70th anniversary. It's hard to see in the photo, but it was done in a flatter red and a metallic white. Little different brands. The Lindner Geotrack 124. This is an Austrian brand tractor. This is actually the only resin model I have in my collection, but this one's all made out of resin. It's neat just to get them all of a Lindner. And on the right, you'll see the Laredo 3200Z. This is a liquid manure tanker. They did it in a 4-wheel version and a 6-wheel version. Here you see the 6-wheel version. Shuco is another brand out of Germany. They launched into their line about 2005, I believe, was their first version in the 32nd line. The Claas Axios, the 320 on the top left. 340 on the right. Basically, the only difference, one is a 3-point and a different wheel package. And you'll see a 330 on the bottom with a front loader. They have also launched some Mercedes versions. You see the MB Track 1800 in the standard colors on the top left and the Silverstein green on the bottom. We've done some Fendt versions. There's some smaller versions. You'll see a 211 Vineyard tractor on the top left and the Vario 200 on the bottom. Here you'll see the 211, like the last one was 1,000 continuously variable transmission. This was painted this way to sit on the booth at Agritechnica. And on the right, you'll see a Fendt Vario 313. I believe this is the Gen 2 version of that hood. 724 from them, you'll all see the standard green color on the left, as well as a white version on the right. Some interesting track. Never seen one of these. I'd love to see one of these someday. Always impressed me. The Deutz Power Matrix X DX230, a high horsepower Deutz tractor. The interesting thing about these, I didn't believe these were imported into North America until one day I was on Facebook, and in one of the places I buy stuff out of the Netherlands had a video of one of these running, and it had a hay buster. And if anyone knows about hay buster, they're an American company. And I thought it was odd there was a hay buster, and I looked at the tag, and this tractor is actually in London, Ontario, where I lived. He had actually taken a video of it. So as much as you may not think some of these tractors are out there, they are out and about in the countryside. Here you'll see Deutz's new flagship tractor, the 9340, the standard green, as well as the Warrior version on the right. John Deere 7810 on the left here with a 3-point. And a John Deere 3120. I believe the 3120 was built in Mannheim, so that would be a German-built tractor, and I don't believe it was built for export to North America. Here you'll see the John Deere 7810 with duals all the way around. On the right, this is an interesting tractor for anyone who understands Deere much. If you take a quick look at this, you would dare this as a 4960. Which is what this would have marked in North America, but for some reason they were marketed as 55 series in Europe. But the 4960 was the only one I know with the right side exhaust like this. So obviously different that they marketed this tractor, even though it would have been built in the US. The 5125R standard, and one with a loader. Another Shulter. This is the compact. This is a smaller version of it. You'll see the picture on the right. It's kind of neat, showing the detail with the hood and the way the cab flips back for maintenance on these. The Eichler 3145. This is another German brand. It was actually purchased by Massey Ferguson in 1973. And the Lance Bulldog on the right here. Lance was purchased by Deere in 1956. The Forchetta TZ, I don't know a lot about these. My research says this was actually one of the biggest manufacturers in Germany at the time. They were purchased by Case IH in 1997. The Karovots on the left here in yellow, these were marketed into Canada, but under a different paint scheme. These would have been marketed under Bolaris, so they would have been bright orange and black. They do have a version of that. I just haven't been able to obtain one for my collection yet. Replicas, this is another French company. Launched in about 2007. Their early stuff was implements, but they started to bring out models in the about 2010. Being a French company, I've done a lot of Renault models. So you'll see a couple of the D35s, D30s here, and the 981-4. You'll see the 1181-4S. This is the same tractor we've seen before, but in the newer Renault colors that they went till they were purchased by the Claas Corporation. The Renault 13315 on the bottom right. The 14514. This is a farm show version, or from the Charter Show in France. And the 15554 as well. The interesting thing about these models is that the duals can be either pulled on or pulled off, so it's a neat option that Replica offers. A couple special liveries of those tractors: the Nectarine version, which was this gold version, and the Track 4 version. I believe the Track 4 version, I'm not totally sure on this, was a discounted version, so they took all the options off it and did them in this white color, and they were a little less cost. Here's a Fiat 702. This is a replica of the first tractor Fiat ever made, 1949. Some monitor Fiats here. So you see the Fiat 11090 on the bottom and the Fiat 11590 on the top. Some more New Holland product here. You see the TM 155. You see two pictures here. This is actually the same model. So again, Replica offers them push-on duals. And the other thing that they offer that's kind of interesting is you can either put a front weight on or a front 3-point on. So it's up to you. The Lone International that I've gotten from them is a 624 front wheel assist. Here you'll see some Magnums. So Case IH Magnums, this is what they call a boxcar style Magnum. 7230 here on the right. This was the Charter Show version. Again, the removable duals, and you can put either weights or a front point, 3-point. The 7250 Pro version on the right. See, I went with the weight on that one. The 7120, they did a US spec. So you'll notice the fender flares that you'll see on the one on the right here are gone, and it's gone to more of a row crop style tire and no placards on it. Front weight. On the right here, you'll see that same Magnum, but it's marketed under Steyr. Like I said, Steyr was purchased by Case IH, and they marketed the Magnums under Steyr in Europe. A couple McCormick's they've offered. The X7 660 in the standard red color, and the VT Drive version done in the yellow to market their CVT transmissions. The sibling to that would be the 7215. You can see on the right here is the Landini version, and you'll see the Power Mandrill 120, a smaller tractor from Landini, on the left. USK scale models came under the, it's kind of a derivative of Norscott toys. People may recognize that. I'm not sure exactly how the transition went, but a couple of the early ones you'll see were actually made by Norscott, which would be the MT765 on the left here, and the MT756 on the right. The 765D here on the left in the standard colors. On the right, you'll see a 765D done in the Viper paint job. This was done for the SEMA show. Challenger kind of marketed these tractors in Europe as a snake in the field. So they did some of them up in these different snake paint jobs. Here you'll see the last version they made of the E version. 775E. In the Stealth version, there was 50 of these done for Europe. And this flat black paint scheme, just how quiet they were and how smooth they went through the fields, and the least amount of marks they left due to the low compaction. If you look at it, you'll notice it has a lot of Fendt styling. And on the right, you'll see the Fendt version. For 2020, Fendt is offering the tracked versions in North America. And it's also the only Fendt tractor that's produced in North America. Here we'll look at the bigger framed 2-track tractors from CAT. You'll see the original 95E here on the left and the 865C on the right. Another paint snake version here. You'll see the Python. This was the very first version they did in the snake look. The 865C, again done for Agritechnica. And the 865E on the right is the newest version with the V12 or V8 in it. So that is the Law version here. This was done for the US market. And there was also a pink breast cancer survivor version done. The 875E on the right here with the updated hood. And then on the bottom here, you see the 975E wheel tractor from Challenger. Again, a few more Fendts. These are more the European versions. So the 1165 MT, this is, again, the exact same as the Challenger tractor, just done in Fendt colors, and was only marketed in Europe. And this is the new 940 MT with the upgraded emissions tier 5, which is only mandated, I believe, in Europe so far. So that will be marketed in Europe under that color. Interesting thing that they've went to Fendt. I think the Challenger days are limited. Here you can see a couple new Fendts that just came out. 313 Vario, Gen 4 this would be, and one with a loader as well. A couple Claus tractors from USK, the Talus 230 and the Atos 350. The interesting thing about the Atos is this tractor and reel is marketed under 5 different brands. This tractor is actually produced by Deutz, so it's marketed under Deutz, Somm, Lamborghini, Hurleman, as well as Claus. The Claus 850 on the left here, and on the right, the same tractor, but with the Disco 350 FC on the front and the Disco 900C mower on the back. Diecast promotions haven't done a lot of 32nd, but the 2 they've done have been very impressive. First one we'll look at will be the Big Bud 747. You can see the Williams brothers on the model. You can just see the detail, the opening hood, rolled back cab. They've just really left no detail untouched on this tractor. And the other one is the versatile Big Roy. Again, you can see the 2 different paint schemes that was offered in. One was the restored version, one was the original version. And you can also see some of the detail of the engine here. And that brings us to the end.
Wow, that's very good. Did a great job on that. So I'm thinking that we will ask for questions or any discussion. Anybody got any questions from Doug?
Where is Ross and Marge located? I wasn't familiar with those models. Back to
Ross
Doug.
is out of Italy, and they've been around for years. I think they started probably back in the 80s. Margay is new. They launched in 2010. They're of the Netherlands.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, you must have covered it pretty well. I had no idea there were so many 132nd tractors being made. So, and not only do you know the replica tractors, but you know the actual tractor history and knowledge as well. So good for you, Doug.
Doug, I got a comment.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Doug, you mentioned the John Deere 3120. No, that was not marketed in North America, but there was a slightly newer version, the 3130, which did come to Canada, but did not go to the US. You mentioned those Shulter tractors. When Hilke and I have been in Europe, and particularly in Germany, we saw a lot of real Shulter tractors at tractor shows. If anybody's interested in something unique in design, check out Shulter tractors. They were kind of high horsepower tractors for their time. And they go from horsepower, 40, 50 horse, but they really specialized in high horsepower tractors like some you had in your presentation of models, and in a 4-wheel drive configuration. They're very unique. Some of them had the engine back in the back end, like at the rear drive, and it gave them great visibility, but they had some challenges with the design and in overheating the engines. But that said, farmers loved them. They're very popular. The company eventually went broke, and you made reference, and it's absolutely true, because we saw it too in Europe, where farmers are rebuilding those tractors. There's actually some dealerships that specialize in rebuilding those Shulter tractors. A very interesting make.
On the European tractors, a lot of them had the 3-point hitable weight. Is there a reason why the European tractors had more of that as opposed to North American with the fixed weights?
I think in my opinion, Europeans are a lot more advanced than us in farming agriculture. And a lot of the people I know, like Fenton, that will say it actually can change your draft points where your weight's lowered or higher. So that's why they do a lot of it. They do a lot more plowing in Europe and stuff. But we're seeing a lot more tractors in North America come up here with front 3 points on them now. than we have in the last few years. So I believe that has to do with the European was more just to get the draft weight movable a little bit for plowing heavy soil.
Thanks.
That's good. Actually, I was on one of the dealers on the engineering committee for the Case IH Magnum when IH and Case merged, and myself and another dealer for Texas would sit in a room with the engineers, and I remember we spent a whole day talking about front 3-point hitch and front PTO. And I thought, well, maybe in our environment, if you could put a 3-point hitch snowplow on the front, then you could drive forward and blow your snow instead of having to go backwards. The dealer in Texas had some other use that they would do it. So we talked about those two items being an option on the Magnum tractors, which were in the design stages at that time. And we thought we had that all sorted out. And then we're getting ready to go on to another topic. And one of the engineers says, well, wait a minute. You didn't tell us which way you want the PTO shaft to turn, because if you're going to take a snowblower off the back and hook it onto the front 3-point hitch, then we've got to make the PTO go the opposite direction. So you need to tell us which way you want the shaft to rotate. So nothing in any of this design is simple. Anybody else got any questions? If not, thank you, Doug, for all that work you've gone to produce these two great slideshows. I can't imagine the work it's been to get them dug out and take those photographs and do such an expert photography job as well. So our hats are off to you, and thank you so much for sharing your collection with us.
Thanks. It's been fun. It's been an interesting, it's been good to get right now.